Okay, hello to anyone out there who may be watching this. Whoever you are, wherever you're watching it, whenever you're watching it, thank you so much for taking the time to click on the video. So what I'm going to be talking about in this video is why the Slim Shady LP, which is Eminem's second studio album, why that album is my personal favorite album of all time. Eminem is probably my favorite musical artist across any genre of music. I have more songs of his than any other artist on my music player. He has so many. He has multiple great albums over the years. Of course, the other two classic ones that people talk about all the time are the Marshall Mathers LP and the Eminem Show. But for me, the Slim Shady LP, which I'm willing to admit is probably not Eminem's best album, it is my personal favorite, and I'm going to explain why. So I have another computer pulled up here in case you see me looking over this way, because it has the Wikipedia page for Slim Shady LP and the track listing. So I'm just going to go into why I love this album so much. So the first song on the album, it starts off with a skit, but obviously that's not a song, but it's a funny skit where he's basically saying viewer discretion is advised, and he just says some funny stuff in there, and he does a similar skit on the Marshall Mathers LP to open up the album. But the first song is My Name Is, which is one of Eminem's most popular songs, especially old school Eminem. It's like one of his most popular songs. And it's kind of a good introduction to the album because the name of the album is Slim Shady LP, and he's saying, my name is Slim Shady. So it's a good introduction to the album, basically letting people know this is what this album is going to be like, so beware of this crazy over-the-top stuff. And I mean, I'll just say right now that that's one of the reasons why I love this album is the whole Slim Shady persona, Slim Shady character. It's on his other albums too, but on this one specifically, it's so over the top in the best way possible. He says lines like, in My Name Is, I lay awake and strap myself in my bed with a bulletproof vest on and shoot myself in the head. And when you hear that line, you're like, what? What does that mean? That's so bizarre. But, for Eminem to say it, it's not a big deal. Whereas if a lot of other artists say that, it would come across like weird or doesn't work at all. But I think for Eminem to say something like that, so over the top, it's like cartoon humor. I think of like the Itchy and Scratchy show from The Simpsons. So I mean, My Name Is, opening song on the album. Next song is Guilty Conscience. That's one of my favorite songs on the album. I would probably say that's my second favorite song on the album, featuring Dr. Dre. It's a concept song. There's dialogue going back and forth between characters. And it's a very clever song. It's a funny song. It's a lyrical song as well. I mean, every single song is lyrical because it's Eminem, but that's just a great song. And it really shows the back and forth dynamic between Dr. Dre and Eminem. Of course, side note, Dr. Dre produced like most of the album, and he had a big part in the production of the album as a whole. Next song is Brain Damage. This was a song that I remember when I very first listened to this album as a teenager, I didn't think that much of it. But in recent years, I've actually listened to that song a lot. It's a very, I don't know, it's just a song I keep going back to. It's very, it shows his storytelling ability. It was based on a true event, actually, of when Eminem was in 4th grade and he got hit in the back of the head with a brick by a bully in his school's bathroom or something like that. and he just kind of spun that story and kind of made it, um, about the Slim Shady character in a way. So Brain Damage, great song. Um, there's a skit. It's called Paul. It's Paul Rosenberg is like a guy who's associated with Eminem, and the skit is basically Paul calling Eminem and being like, "Hey, you need to tone down the album. This is too crazy. We can't get this out there. If the album has too much profanity and graphicness, you need to tone it down." And that's just kind of funny that he put that on the album, kind of self-reflecting, like he knows how messed up some of this stuff is. Next song is "If I Had," which is a very depressing song. It's like my go-to song when I'm like really sad or like depressed or something, because you can really feel his pain on this song, and it's weird because Dr. Dre was on this album, like he had a big role in it, and of course this was the album that jump-started Eminem's career. But a lot of these songs were written when he was like dirt broke, still in Detroit, and If I Had, you can just really feel his pain on that song. Not long before this album came out, Eminem actually had his first suicide attempt. His second suicide attempt was after Proof died, and he went through that horrible depression phase. But you can tell that this was a song that that he wrote when he was at such a low point in his life, and you can really feel the pain on there. And in the chorus he says a line which I think is genius. He says, "If I had one wish, I would ask for a big enough ass for the whole world to kiss," which is just a great line. Next song, 97 Bonnie and Clyde, the song where he talks about killing his baby's mother and throwing her dead body into the river. And it's a song that has so much love and so much hate all mixed in one. The love towards his daughter and being like, "Hey, it's just the two of us," which is what the chorus says, but it's filled with so much hate that he has and all this anger that he's built up for Kim, his baby's mother, and it's just a very real track. Again, storytelling, to the fullest. So 97 Bonnie and Clyde, great song. Definitely one of my favorites on the album. Role Model, a lot like Brain Damage, Role Model was a song that when I heard it as a teen, I didn't think that much of it. I was like, alright, this is cool, but other songs on the album are better. But Eminem snaps on that song for sure. Super lyrical. And in the chorus he's like, "Don't you want to grow up to be just like me?" And he's like saying how much kind of influence he has over people just because he could say crazy stuff and kids will listen to him. And that's an interesting song. My Fault is another song on the album, which is a funny song. Again, fictional song, of course. Everything is basically fictional with the storytelling of Eminem, unless it's a personal experience. But, I mean, My Fault is clearly fictional, at least to my knowledge it is. And it's a funny story about how he's at a party and he gives a girl mushrooms and she kind of like overdoses on him. But he, he didn't intend for that to happen, but she just like wasn't responsible and then she overdosed. And it's a funny song. It's a very catchy song too, the chorus. Next song, Come On Everybody, which is, I mean, out of all the songs on the album, this one is kind of like my least favorite. This one and the song I'm Shady, which I'll get to later. I just feel like those songs didn't hold up like every other song on this album, but it's still a great song. It has kind of like a disco vibe to it almost, like a disco type of techno-y kind of beat to it. Um, and it's featuring Dinah Ray, I guess, who does like the chorus or something. Um, And yeah, that's again, Come On Everybody and I'm Shady are probably the two least favorite songs on this album for me, but they're still great songs. I just don't think they hold up as well as everything else. Next song is my favorite song on the album, which is Rock Bottom. To this day, one of the most real songs Eminem has ever wrote. Um, it's lyrical. In the first verse, he goes, I feel like I'm walking a tightrope without a circus net. I'm popping Percocets. I'm a nervous wreck. I deserve respect, but I work a sweat for this worthless check. I'm about to burst this tech at somebody to reverse this debt. And, the whole song is just like that. It's super lyrical, very real, very sad song. Just talking about how you get to such a low point in life and you're trying so hard to get out of a space that you're in, but you can't do it. And that's definitely my favorite song on this album by far. The next song is Just Don't Give Up. That's the F word. Don't want to say it. But yeah, that's the next song. It's a classic song. It's actually a single on the album, I think. This is one of the singles. Yeah, it's one of the singles on the album. Great song, very lyrical. And that song is probably my fifth favorite song on the album. I'm actually going to go down at the end and rank all the songs in order because I've done that before, not just with this album, but with other Eminem albums. I rank the songs on the album. So I'll do that here at the end. But that's a great song. He says lines like, it's colder than snow season when it's 20 below freezing. And just like stuff that's really complex wordplay. The next song, As the World Turns, very underrated Eminem song. Again, the storytelling in that is great and also funny. The ending of the last verse is pretty hilarious. If you know the song, you know what I'm talking about. And in the chorus he says, I don't know why this world keeps turning round and round, but I wish it would stop and let me off right now, which is it's just funny. Yeah, that's a great song. It's so underrated. I'm Shady. I mentioned this one earlier. One of the tracks on the album you could probably skip because it doesn't hold up as well as the others, but the verses are still good. The chorus is good. It's just I don't even remember much of this song, so that's why I'm having a little trouble talking about it right now. But yeah, that's a great one. Bad Meets Evil, another song kind of like Brain Damage and Role Model. That when I first heard it, I kind of didn't think that much of it, but man, that song is great. Him and Royce the 5'9" going back and forth. It's a very it's a concept song. Bad is supposed to be Royce, I think, and then Evil is supposed to be Eminem. Bad Meets Evil, and then I think 5 years ago in 2011, Royce and Eminem did the album together called Bad Meets Evil. But yeah, what I mean by so poetic is, Eminem says in the first verse, I don't speak, I float in the air wrapped in a sheet, I'm not a real person, I'm a ghost trapped in a beat. I translate when a voice is read through a seismograph and a noise is bred, picked up and transmitted through Royce's head. It's very visual, very descriptive, very clever. I really like that. And the chorus too, you know. This is what happens when bad meets evil. We hit the trees till we look like Vietnamese people. He's evil and I'm bad like Steve Seagal. Above the law, 'cause I don't agree with police neither. We ain't eager to be legal, so please leave me with the keys to your Jeep Eagle. I breathe ether in 3 lethal amounts when I stab myself in the knee with a diseased needle. Releasing rage on anybody in squeezing range, cold enough to make the seasons change into freezing rain. He's insane. No, I'm not. I just want to shoot up because I'm pissed off and I can't find a decent vein. Like, it's just so, it's so good. It's so lyrical. I love that chorus. And then the last song on the album is Still Don't Give Up. Again, not saying the F word. I actually like Just Don't Give a little bit more than Still Don't Give a. But both are good songs. It's good closing to the album. And yeah, I mean, again, I could say this about every song, but it's just super lyrical. And yeah, just to go through real quick and rank the songs in order. There's 14 songs on the album, I think. Least favorite song is probably I'm Shady. And then the second, or least favorite song might be Come On Everybody or I'm Shady. Those would take the 13, 14 spots. 12 would probably be My Fault. 11, Still Don't Give a F. 10 would be Role Model. Eminem snaps on that song, but it's just not that memorable of a song to me, so that would be Role Model. 9, I'm trying not to forget. 9, I'd probably put Bad Meets Evil, just because there wasn't a lot of like storytelling on that one, even though I just recited like the whole chorus, but there wasn't a ton of storytelling on that one. And then 8 would be 8 would be If I Had. 7 would be Brain Damage. 6 would be My Name Is. 5 would be Just Don't Give a F. 4 would be 97 Bonnie and Clyde. 3 would be As the World Turns. 2 would be Guilty Conscience. And then 1 would be Rock Bottom. And that's how I rank the songs. I've done this for other Eminem albums too, just to kind of pick and choose my favorites. And I mean, just as a whole, the reason why I love this album so much is because you could tell how hungry Eminem was when he's rapping on this album. It was, you know, people love the Marshall Mathers LP. I do too. But I think a lot of the Marshall Mathers LP was him responding to critics who had criticized him for all the crazy stuff he said on this album. But on this album, you know, there was not even a thought of him having like a filter on this album. He just did not care at all, and you could see how hungry he was, you know, with how much respect he just wanted and stuff. And being on the come up and just being very hungry. And also, it's weird if you look at Eminem over the course of his albums, his voice changes quite a bit. In recent years, his voice has gotten a lot deeper, whereas back in these days, he had a very light voice. If you listen to his first album, Infinite, which is also a great album, you know, he has a very light voice and sounds very young. And I think he kept that on this album, but he also made it like harder and more aggressive. Combined with Dr. Dre's production and input, it just made this perfect combination. And I mean, yeah, you know, there's other albums out there that I love. Of course, you know, Marshall Mathers LP, Eminem Show, Recovery by Eminem was like the album that got me into Eminem. I listened to that right when it came out. And then there's other albums outside of Eminem, Raw by Hobson, and even things outside of hip-hop like Automatic for the People by R.E.M., which was an early 90s album based on like alternative rock. And that's a really good album. But man, like I just look at this track list on this album and it's just so good. Like it's so good. So yeah, that's why Eminem's Slim Shady LP is my favorite album of all time. If you want me to rank the Eminem albums, I can do that real quick. For me personally, favorite Slim Shady LP, second favorite is a tie between Marshall Mathers LP and Eminem Show, so those would take the 2 and 3 spot. 4 would be Recovery, 5 would be Infinite, 6 would be Marshall Mathers LP 2, even though I don't even remember a lot of that album because I listened to it once when it came out and I just didn't really go back to it that much. And then 7, I'd probably put Relapse ahead of Encore. I had Encore ahead of Relapse for the longest time, but Encore has some really bad songs on it. But anyway, this isn't about Encore or any of the other albums. This is about Slim Shady LP, why it's my favorite Eminem album and favorite album period across any genre of music. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you like this album. Let me know what some of your favorite songs were on it. Let me know if you didn't like this album and some reasons why, because I know, you know, people out there don't like this album, and that's completely fine. It's all opinion. Let me know why this album just didn't resonate in the same way as other Eminem albums or other albums that you like better. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Long video, almost 22 minutes. And yeah, that's all I got. I hope everyone who's watching this is doing well. And I hope you have a good day, a good month, a good day, a good week, a good month, a good year, and be happy, you know. If you ever get down, listen to some Eminem. It'll build you back up. And yeah, like, share, subscribe, hate, dislike, do whatever you want. Just do you. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.